Bit about letting the kids go.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
I don't know who's coming right now.
I graduated in '92.
All right, we're gonna get going here. We're a little bit late, and for that, I apologize.
Dave, did our girls win?
So we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Morristown Township Board of Education. Meeting was called in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act with adequate notice as provided in the Courier Post and Burlington County Times on May 21st and May 19th, 2024, respectively. May I please get a moment of silence? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. James, could you please take roll?
Ms. Arcaro Burns,
Present.
Mrs. Barnes, Mrs. Macaluso, Dr. Myatt,
Here.
Mrs. Miller,
Here.
Mrs. Moreno, Mr. Weeks,
Present.
Mrs. McCopolis,
Here.
Mr. Villanueva.
Here.
Thank you.
And can I please get a motion for the approval of the April 30th, 2024 minutes for both the executive and regular sessions?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Any noes or abstentions? Thank you. All right, we will get to the student board representative reports in a moment. Thank you, everybody, for your flexibility, particularly those on the board and in administration. This meeting was originally scheduled for last week, but due to conflicts among many board members, including myself, we didn't have a quorum. And so we had to postpone the meeting until this evening. So thank you all for your flexibility. And with that, we're going to shuffle the agenda around a little bit, and we're going to start with the student reps.
Good evening, parents, teachers, and Board of Education. I'm Yash Bausar, and I'm the freshman class president. I'm going to be sharing some sports events that have happened over the course of the last few weeks. We've been racking up wins here in Morristown, everywhere from track to the baseball field. This past week, we won our first boys lacrosse playoff game 20-1 as the first seed, and the future looks bright. We also bought a big win 19-0 in girls lacrosse. On the baseball field, Ryan Lynch pitched a shutout and had a 3-run RBI, bringing a home 4-0 win. Sectionals are coming up for track, and the kids are pretty excited, expecting some good times. We've also had some pretty big wins for Morristown so far, and will hopefully bring home some trophies. Besides some playoff wins, we've had some big tests coming up. It was definitely overwhelming to prepare for finals exams for the first times, but we have great guidance from our teachers and a support system of counselors to help us through this stressful time. Though no one likes studying for finals, I think it is important to build good study habits so we're all prepared for the tests facing us in the future. Thank you.
Hey.
Good evening, teachers, parents, and the Board of Education. My name is Angelo Bajati, and I am one of the sophomore class liaisons. Tonight, I am excited to share with you a recent event that was both meaningful and memorable for our school community. This past weekend, Morristown High School hosted a reunion tour for the class of 1974. It was a wonderful occasion that allowed us to reconnect with our alumni and celebrate the rich history of Morristown High School. We began the event with a presentation that featured a collection of photos from the class of 1974. These images, drawn from yearbooks and personal archives, offered a nostalgic glimpse into the lives of our alumni during their time at the school and beyond. As the presentation unfolded, we played iconic music from the 70s, creating a lively and authentic atmosphere. The alumni were delighted to relive their memories through these sights and sounds. It was clear that their time at MHS had left a lasting impression. One of the highlights of the reunion was a generous donation of $600 made by the class of 1974 to the Student Council. Their contribution is a testament to their enduring connection to the school and their commitment to supporting future generations of students. We are very thankful for this donation, and it will be instrumental in funding various student council initiatives and activities. Following the presentation, our student council members divided into groups and led the alumni on a tour of the school. It was a great opportunity to showcase both the familiar and new aspects of Morristown High School. The alumni were particularly interested in seeing what had remained the same since their graduation, as well as the impressive new additions and improvements we have made to the school. The tour sparked many conversations and stories bridging the past and present. It was heartwarming to witness the excitement and pride of the alumni as they explored the halls and classrooms once again. In conclusion, the reunion tour was a resounding success. It strengthened our ties with the alumni community, highlighted the continuous growth of our school, and inspired both current students and alumni alike. We are grateful for the class of 1974's generosity and for the opportunity to celebrate the history and future of Morristown High School together. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to sharing more updates in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for giving us the updates. That's awesome that the student council, and I understand Mr. Pani was integrally involved in getting the reunion tour together for the class of 1974, and we thank them for that very generous donation. And thanks to the students for really driving that initiative. That's wonderful that we can bring those folks back. And also, it's great to hear the sports updates and everything good that's going on the fields and elsewhere. And I know based on your update that you've got some tests to study for. So thank you for coming, and you guys can take a break. All right. Again, thanks for your flexibility in moving the meeting to tonight rather than last week. In terms of the superintendent search, we are working with our recruiter, Bob Copeland, who we expect that there will be a community outreach, and he will be conducting forums within various groups in the community. Everyone is invited to attend. We'll be sending out updates with times and locations. They're most likely going to be virtual. We think that will bring out the most people that are interested in attending, and we expect those to be done within the next month or so. So keep your eyes open for more details about the superintendent search. I'll defer referendum updates to Mr. Bollendorf. I hope everybody was able to enjoy downtime over Memorial Day weekend as we head to the final section of the school year and push towards graduation. As I was thinking about Memorial Day over the weekend, I was reminded about the Lest We Forget memorial that's in the high school. For those of you that have walked in through the front doors of the high school on the left-hand side, there's a plaque that honors our veterans and their gold stars next to those that graduated from Morristown, that served and that paid the ultimate price for our country. And so, I was thankful to have the opportunity to think about those folks. I hope everybody has the opportunity to think about what they sacrificed for us and for our community and for the freedoms that we have as Americans. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Bollendorf.
Thank you, Mark. My thanks to the teachers and also the parents of our speakers that come every month. It's just remarkable. That first kid, I think it was his first time here. He's 14 years old, and it's just great job, everyone. For those of you that are impactful, they do a fabulous job speaking. I don't think I would have that level of confidence at the age of 14. There's no way. It's pretty special. Having said that, I don't want to hold Mrs. Carvano here longer than we have to. No, it's okay. And I'll hold on my remarks and let you go ahead and do your student safety data systems report. This is a requirement on the part of the state. It kind of gets into our HIB throughout the course of the school year. This is the reporting period for the first half of the year from September 1st to December 31st. Sherry, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sherry Caravano. I'm the principal here at WAMS, and I am the district's anti-bullying coordinator. I'm also a little tall for this, but it's okay. As you just heard, the student safety data system report is a requirement that we need to submit twice per year, and I also need to present the information that we submitted to the state twice a year. You will be seeing information from the first half of this school year, ending with December 31st, and then everything that took place from January to June will be presented on in the fall. And I have a feeling it's not going to work. Oh, I think I got it. So some of the things that we need to report, any type of HIB training or programming that we have implemented to help prevent harassment, intimidation, and bullying needs to be reported to the state. It's really an opportunity for us to reflect on the things that we're doing throughout the year to make sure that we're addressing harassment, intimidation, and bullying before it happens. Any alleged or confirmed HIB that does get investigated must also be reported, as well as any type of violence, vandalism, substance abuse, essentially any type of suspension, whether it's in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, half-day or full day. Those are the incidents that we need to report. So this is a summary of the total incidents that we reported from September to December across all of the buildings in the district. We have to submit a detailed description of any event or any incident that we do report to the state. The primary focus for us are the preventative measures that we put into place to try and address harassment, intimidation, and bullying before it takes place. I am not going to go through this entire list, but just a few things that you will see consistent across all buildings. Every building addresses the Week of Respect, which is the first week of October. We are required to do something in our buildings during the Week of Respect. Also here at Morristown, we acknowledge Inclusive Schools Week, which is in December, and every building has built in some activities and different types of lessons for our students. At the lower elementary level, one thing that I would just like to point out, in addition to all of the great things that they do, but selfishly, I love this idea and I kind of want to steal it. They do a monthly Golden Book Lunch Award, and this is a way for them to recognize positive behaviors in the cafeteria and at lunch, which is oftentimes an unstructured environment where maybe some behaviors may happen. They will reward students for their positive behaviors in the cafeteria, and their names get input into a golden book. And I believe that there are prizes attached. So it's one of the many ways that our schools recognize positive behaviors and try to enforce and encourage them throughout the school year. At the UES, the Golden Paw program is still happening, and it's, again, a way that students are recognized. There was also an addition of an internet safety presentation this year. One of the interesting things about preventing harassment, intimidation, and bullying is sometimes the needs of the students change. And it is our job to try and identify what things we need to focus on. At the upper elementary and even the middle school level, one of the things that we're noticing is an increase in usage of social media. So we identified a need to bring in an internet safety presenter from the state of New Jersey to meet with the students. Here at WAMS in the fall, we had what's called the Secret Life of Teens and Tweens. This was actually a parent program that happened over at the high school. It was geared towards secondary level, and it was an informative night where the presenters came in to talk to parents about the things that happen on social media and on the internet that maybe you're not aware of. We also, we started with a ticket system here at WAMS. They're blue tickets, but we have something called the Woot Woot Wagon, which we roll out once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on how busy it is. And the tickets are earned by students for doing positive things around the school. Any staff member can give a student a ticket, and when they trade in their tickets, there's different things that they could buy. An example, tickets, you can get an Uber ride to class where myself or my assistant principal will roll a student in a really nice comfy leather chair from the class of their choosing to the next period. Other examples, a playlist where students can actually decide the 8 songs that play over the loudspeaker in between transitions. And also a really popular one is lunch on the principal, where I buy lunch for the students. Chick-fil-A is really the big, it's the hot item. So this is just a way that we recognize our students and we try to reinforce the positive behaviors that we see on a daily basis. At the high school, we did have the Secret Life of Teens and Tweens geared towards high school parents. Also the Week of Respect activities, which we do across the district. And as you can see up here, we have some newly formed clubs just to add some student voice in the building. The Asian Heritage Club and the Jewish Heritage Club were added this year. At the district level, we focus on training. We have to report on all of the trainings that we do. The trainings that you see up on the board were either building specific or district specific during our swap day and our professional development day in October. And again, these are just examples of some of the things that we have to report on as we reevaluate and evaluate what we did in September through December to not only train our students on proper behaviors, but also the things that we're doing for our staff to help make sure that they're prepared to tackle the challenges in the classroom. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sherry, very much. And congratulations on nearly completing your first year as principal of the middle school. You've done a fabulous job, and we appreciate your efforts, and the level of caring that you have for kids comes shining through. So thank you. So just an update from me on goings on, particularly as it relates to our efforts relative to the referendum. You may have seen today that a letter came out from my office once again extending the deadline for the survey. The reason for that is we just were able to get the municipality to share out on their social media and in their newsletter a link, because we're trying to make sure that everybody in the community has an opportunity to weigh in, just not the school community. So we wanted to give ample time for that process. And there is a timeline, which is, in terms of how quickly we need to move. So tabulating those results, meeting with the board, and finally, in making a determination is what it is that we're actually going to submit to the state in the form of a referendum is to come. I think the best case scenario would be able to do that by the June board meeting. If not, there will be a special meeting scheduled in July in order to do that, because we do not want to submit later than July for this in order to be able to meet our deadline of a vote to the community by March. So more to come on that. I am attending the Speak meeting on Thursday night, specifically, I think, to talk about the referendums and answer questions that folks may have. I've attended all of the home and school meetings, and they've been extended meetings because the communities in those buildings have had specific questions and things that I was hoping to ask. I think the big burning question is what we all anticipate will continue to be the burning question, and is that the notion of the reimagination of the UES, our third graders moving to that building. And we can't reiterate enough, because no matter, I don't think how much we say it, we're going to have to continue to say it. The third graders will not be moving into the UES as we know it. All right. Sixth grade is going to be moving to the middle school. Third graders will be moving into a reimagined elementary building of third, fourth, and fifth graders. No sixth graders. The model, as you heard me speak at the last time, is really not ideal anyway, because you're really combining both a middle school and an elementary model in the version of the UES as it currently exists. So I'm all about creating a new name and reimagining that school building and creating a place where folks will welcome the idea of transitioning our kids, and then we'll create the space that we already need desperately at the elementary level to reduce class size, to add full day kindergarten, and to perhaps increase what we're doing in the area of preschool. It won't be a full preschool scenario. The space that would be required would be about 600 seats. That's separate and apart and down the road. But as you've heard me speak, the district's not even eligible for a preschool expansion grant until they offer tuition-free full-day kindergarten, which we currently do not. And we're really one of 8 or 9 school districts in the entire state that don't have that in place. So this particular referendum addresses those concerns, and then we'll open up the door for other options for this community to consider moving forward in time. The survey will end on Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. I ask you, please share the email. It's on the website. I did a press release for both the Patch and the Sun. Share that out with the people that you know in the community and encourage them. The way that we engage the community and involve your thoughts and feelings on what it is that we're doing and how it is that we're doing it are contained within that. And if people have questions, please, I encourage you to encourage them. And for those that are watching on TV, reach out to me. I've answered so many emails I'll be happy to pick up a phone. There's one group that wants to try to put a young collection of moms and dads together who have children, haven't even come in to the district yet. I'm happy to sit down and talk so that I can answer those questions. Please don't hesitate. I'm really dedicated to this proposition. And as I said to you before, I mean, this vote's going to happen after I'm gone, but I've dedicated my entire life to education. And I just think it's just an amazing community. And I've been asked to take a look at things, and in working with this board, there are things that in order to keep this community moving forward and continue to provide the kind of education that you're known for, there's some changes that need to be made and some things that we need to do to build for our future. So I'm really dedicated to doing that because it's evident to me that you care about this community, you care about your kids. And I think when that becomes so obvious, you can't help but respond in the same way. And that's where I'm at, and that's where I want to be. So I'm available. Call me, email me. I'm available. I'm happy to talk. I got out to the ball fields today. What a beautiful day. And back to the sports thing, it was great seeing our girls softball team that are #1 seed. They just advanced to the semifinals of the sectionals, and our girls lacrosse team is just crushing it. That's the only two that I was able to see today. But I'll be here late on Thursday, so I'm happy the kids are playing out there. So I'll be out on the ball fields. If you want to swing by and see me and say hello, I would really, great place to have a conversation. So I'll be out in the afternoon on Thursday. And that's all I have for an update, Mark. Great.
Thanks, Joe. Anybody have any questions for Joe about his update? All right. So next on our agenda is our first public comment section, and the purpose of this section of our agenda is to provide an opportunity for public comment on agenda items, and that is items in the agenda that the board is going to vote on. So if you have any comments about those items, now would be the time. The ground rules are set forth in the agenda, but we'd ask that you keep your comments to and state your name and address before starting your comment. And before approaching the microphone, if I could get a motion to open public comment.
So moved.
Second that, right?
Second.
All in favor? All right. So if you have a comment on agenda items, please take the microphone now.
Hi, I'm Celie Coleman, 215 East Main Street. I brought this question up before, but this is a notable change of having public comment on agenda items before the updates from the committees. And I didn't know if that was done because there would be more dialogue during the committee updates, like to answer the questions that we have in this time, or if there was another rationale for why that was changed. And then my second question was for the policy committee, but Claudine not here because I think the past 2 months, we were told that they were looking at the 5,000 series of policies about drug and alcohol and student behavior in class. I know this is kind of touches on it, and the policies that are up for first read tonight relate. So I'm wondering if that was the reason for the change, or if there was just a change of plans. That's it.
Thanks. Any other public comment? All right. Could I get a motion to close public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks. Ms. Coleman, yes, we did move the public comment section. Frankly, I just thought it was better to move it to the top of the agenda. As you know, there's 2 public comment sections, and so the first is on agenda items that we're voting on. And the more general public comment section is still maintained at the end of the agenda. And so there, it was really just an organizational decision that I had made to move it. So that's really it. And then on the 5,000 series policies, I think I know. Yeah, Jill's going to give an update on policy. So it is, yeah. she'll give an update, and it's certainly something that it's a very robust policy that we've been looking at, the drug and alcohol abuse policy. So I'll allow Jill to give an update on that. Okay. Board committee reports. Let's start with communications. Melissa?
Good evening. We met on May 15th. It was myself, Jill Fellows Macaluso, Cheryl Makopoulos, Brooke Myatt, Dave Tate, and Jeff Airy. Mr. Bollendorf wasn't able to attend, but he and I did speak the day before, so thank you for that, Joe. Not too much to report. Mr. Villanueva has, I believe, written a column or is in the process of doing so. I haven't read my latest edition of the Morristown Sun, related to the referendum. And we pretty much discussed, again, the types of forums that would be best for the committee to engage in with the community related to the referendum, and just the best ways that, or the ways that we as a committee could be best used to get the information out to everyone about the referendum, and sort of a bigger picture of holistically what is our role in this process and how we will define it. And that's it. And our next meeting is, I believe, the first full week of June.
So yes, Ms. Burns is correct. I am going to write a column for the Sun. The ink is still in my pen though, so I haven't yet written it. You haven't missed anything. But it'll address, sort of various issues that we've been talking about at our latest board meetings. Probably not exclusive to the referendum, but once that's out, everybody can read it at their leisure. Any questions for Melissa? All right, curriculum, Danielle?
The curriculum committee met on May 10th. Those in attendance were myself, Jacqueline Barnes, Brooke Myatt, Cheryl Makopoulos, Dr. Benton, and Mr. Bollendorf. We had a presentation by administration that discussed the summer reading selections for the UES and WAMs. We discussed field trips, although there are no actionable items for the field trips on our current agenda tonight. We also discussed the start time and traffic flow for WAMs for 2024 and 2025 school year, a new traffic pattern and start time. We also discussed scheduling at the high school, student recognition criteria for awards, and administration is looking into dedicated test days to avoid too many tests being administered on a single day. And that's it.
Thanks. Any questions for Danielle? All right, F&O, Mick?
Great. So turn this on first. We met on May 7th. I was there, Cheryl Makopoulos, Jacqueline Barnes, and Claudine Morano. We started off talking about the referendum update, which Joe spoke to part of it, that the referendum website is live, the questionnaire. We talked about different points that we could share with the board as to the current status. And then also that a project list had been given to James, and that would be reviewed with F&O before getting disseminated to all the other committees. Talked about hiring a demographer and hope to have information about that back from the demographer by mid-June. We, at the time, were waiting for the bonds to still be evaluated for a resale or reissue, refund them. Yes. There were several RFPs that were discussed, and I know the notes, the minutes were sent out earlier today, just a couple corrections. There wasn't enough specificity in there for Roberts doing one boiler now, plan to do the other via referendum. At Baker, ordering the HVAC in the summer. The work would happen during spring break of 2025 and finish in that summer. As we talked about in exec, negotiator, the RFP opened up, the bids opened up for that on May 15th. We obviously have discussed that and we'll be voting on that later tonight. let's see, related services, that RFP opens up on June 11th. There are also RFPs, that includes RFPs for occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, LPN, RN. And then we're also in year 5 of our food service management contract, so that needs to be rebid. There's actually, I guess it's been updated since we met, but for municipal, there was a sale of old equipment, and we were working to make sure that what we would get in return from that sale would potentially be more than what it would cost to advertise it. We talked about changing the driver referral bonus, moving to a full calendar year to be eligible for the bonus, that the person would have to be retained for that amount of time. We also talked about overnight trips and travel, the requested reporting back on the numbers of students that may be interested, and that was for the Spanish club, French club, madrigals. And we also wanted to look a little bit closer at the insurance requirements for those trips. And then we talked about 2 updated job descriptions, one for custodian and also a new position for dyslexia therapist. So those were the key things we discussed at finance and operations. Any questions or comments? A lot faster. I saw John looking at his watch. I heard the challenge. I heard the challenge from Cheryl last week while I was watching from home.
All right, thanks, Mick, and welcome back. James, if you don't mind, Mick had mentioned the bond refunding. Could you just give us a little more detail on that? I know it's very nuanced. I know you've worked really hard on it, but I think it definitely came to a good result. So I'd appreciate an update on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So our 2014 debt issuance was up for what's called its first callable date. So the bonds were callable on July 15th of 2024. By law, we're allowed to do it a certain amount of days beforehand. So if you recall, back in March and April, I requested that the board consider a bond ordinance to allow us to do so. That gives us the flexibility to then monitor the market. April was a little bit of a rough month, so we chose to postpone the bond sale until coming into May 16th, when we came back the week of the 13th. The market was trending upwards in our favor, so we chose to sell ultimately on May 16th. So we went through, our regular rating process. Kudos to this community and the district as a whole. We are AA+ rated, so that for about $17 million worth of bonds, we had about $72 million worth of interest in those bonds. That allows us to have a better yield, which produces additional savings. So that's great news for the taxpayers. So over the remaining life of the bonds, we're projected to save about $800,000, which equates to about $65,000 a year.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the update, and thanks for all your work on making that happen. And, I know you do a lot of work with our debt and doing things with it to maximize the financial benefit for us and carrying that debt. And I know that one of the things we've been talking about as it pertains to is sort of the timing of debt that we carry and when that matures. And I know Joe has talked about this in the past, but I think the timing of the referendum a year from now is beneficial in that old debt will be rolling off of our books or coming close to rolling off of our books. I know James has been working hard to try to structure things in a way so that the tax impact felt by the referendum will be minimized because certain debt will be rolling off as new debt comes on. And I know it may be counterintuitive for those in the private sector, such as myself, but carrying debt is a good thing in public finance. And so, I think that you discussing the benefit that you were able to achieve with the bond refunding reminded me of the other potential benefit of the timing for this referendum. So thank you. Policy, I know Claudine was unable to be here tonight, but Jill, you've kindly agreed to step in.
Yep. So Claudine was at the policy committee meeting. We held it on May 14th. Also present was Melissa Arcaro Burns, Mark Villanueva, myself. Mr. Bollendorf, Dr. Benton, James Heiser, and Carol Butler was there. And it's true that we're staying focused on the 5,000 series of policies. And I'll come back to that in a minute. We had a very long meeting where we achieved a lot as far as the policies that are on the agenda for first reading this evening. There's 6 documents, and these are in fact mandatory policy updates that are provided from Strauss Esme, which is the firm that supports us in identifying necessary updates and supporting us in updating those policies. So there's been updates to the New Jersey Administrative Code that impacted a number of our policies. Policy 1140 on educational equity around affirmative action, the Equal Employment Opportunity Policy number 1530, the Regulation 1530, Equal Employment Opportunity Complaint Procedure, and Policy 1550, Equal Employment Anti-Discrimination Practices. All of those have been updated with some minor updates, as well as an update to remove the list of protected categories and replace that with an expanded list that was adopted under the New Jersey Administrative Code. Circling back to one of the documents, the Policy 1523, that's the Comprehensive Equity Plan. That's been revised, and that's really centered around policies, practices, programs that ensure equitable access to educational opportunities for all learners, including students and teachers when it comes to professional development. That's on the agenda for first reading. And then last but not least on the agenda for first reading is 2423, which is the bilingual education policy / regulation. And we actually, the New Jersey State Board of Education adopted some administrative code changes and requirements for public school districts. These amendments really address the services that multilingual learners, previously referred to as English language learners, need in order to meet or exceed the NJSLA standards to reach graduation and post-secondary success. So we've updated our policies to reflect those changes, and as mentioned, made some minor updates to the policies in addition to those that were required. So they're on the agenda for first reading, but we didn't lose sight of the other advancements that we're trying to make when it comes to policies. We had a really good discussion with administration around, as a general matter, operationalizing the many policies that are being updated. And we've actually requested and worked together with administration to spend a good part of each agenda time for the policy committee talking together about the implementation of new and substantially revised policies to ensure that it's being not only operationalized and as intended by the policy committee, but also that key stakeholders who are impacted by the policies are those updates are being communicated relevant. For example, staff are receiving training on the policy updates, those types of things. We think that that'll make the new policies come to life in a more efficient and effective way. You know, for example, we revisited the suite of policies around community organizations, booster clubs, educational foundations, and parent organizations to talk about how it's going with operationalizing those changes, and got updates from administration. One of the things that we're thinking about is how to best communicate with boosters to ensure that they're aware of the changes in the policy, while of course allowing the autonomy that we want to maintain with the booster organizations. We spent a good deal of time getting a great update from Mr. Bollendorf around parent organizations. We know that he's been working actively with the home and school in anticipation of the changes to the policy, which were of course intended to allow home and school to continue to work collaboratively with the district and provide the much valued support to the district. So coming to the 5,000 series, I'll end with that. We spent a great deal of time on the 5,000 series, and to be a little more specific, where we're spending our time right now as a committee is around the substance abuse policy 5530. And it is not stagnated. It's still moving along quite nicely. with the administration working to provide substantial revisions to this 5530 for the committee consideration. We've seen multiple drafts. I should mention that this is, of course, substance abuse is a mandatory policy that's required that we have, but while we're working within the constraints of the mandates that are statutorily required, we've also really prioritized the need to adopt a policy that's easy to navigate for the entire MTPS community, both internal stakeholders and the parent stakeholders, to have processes that are clear and consistently applied. And something that's very passionate to me, that's reflective of the board and Mr. Bollendorf's intent for the district to really move forward with a philosophy of restorative discipline practices. We had a significant amount of conversation around consequences, including suspensions and extracurricular restrictions under the policy, and how we might revisit those to be consistent with state requirements, but really foster a culture where we want children to, of course, have consequences under policies, but also really to put our arms around them and help pick them up and move forward together to support them as intended by the spirit of the policy that the state requires that we have. So I'll pause there and see if there's any questions. I know it was a lot, but I hope that I provided a good update to the community around how important it is to stay focused on the 5,000 series. And we are working and hope to have something for first reading very, very soon. Does anybody have any questions? No.
Great. Thanks, Jill. Are there any off-board committee updates?
For speak. The Special Education Advocacy Council has their last meeting of the year, May 30th at 6 p.m. in the Star Center, which is connected to the high school. At that meeting, I will be in attendance, Dr. Tate as usual, and Mr. Bollendorf will be there as well to discuss the referendum. And take questions from the community members in attendance. One big event coming up that isn't necessarily exactly speak related, but many parents involved in speak help organize this wonderful unified sports banquet that is happening on June 13th at the Linola Firehouse. They will be honoring about 100 athletes who are involved in the unified sports program in the district. It's a great event, and it's open to anyone. You can purchase a ticket to support these athletes, and it's lovely. I know a lot of us from the board attended last year, and hopefully some of us will be able to attend again. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to be reporting for More Arts. More Arts will be awarding $4,750 in scholarships to 8 students at senior recognition reception. And information about all those scholarships in detail are on their More Arts website. They're also excited about their district art show that will be happening June 1st. More Arts will be setting up the exhibit in the Community House Library, and that show, the hours are from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And something to put on your calendar for mid-June, June 17th, More Arts is sponsoring the Parks and Rec Summer Concert, where Morristown High School graduate Courtney Halpin McBride, or also known as AKA Corey, who is a recent contestant on The Voice, will be performing on a concert at the Community House lawn. So bring a lawn chair and enjoy the evening. And that is all I have for More Arts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with an off-board committee report? All right, moving on to reports to the board. Letter A are reports from the business administrator and board secretary. Can I please get approval of items 1 through 5? Any comments or questions? All in favor? Any nays or abstentions? Next are the recommendations of the superintendent. May I please get a motion for first reading of the policies and regulations set forth in the agenda? Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Thank you. Educational program. May I please get approval of items 1 through 4 in that section of the agenda? Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes or abstentions? Thank you. Next, under finance and business, we have items 1 through 11. And after we have a motion, I will fill in the blanks on item 11. So can I please get a motion for items 1 through 11? So with respect to item 11, the appointment of labor negotiator is, you'll see it contains blanks. That is because our negotiations committee, which will be negotiating a contract with the MEA in short order, put out an RFP for an attorney to assist us in that process. And that committee interviews on Thursday morning, and they concluded this morning. And after those interviews of all of the really impressive candidates, the committee is recommending that is requesting approval from the board for the appointment of the Capehart Scatcherd firm under the supervision of Joe Betley. And so each of the blanks in item 11 will be filled with the Capehart Scatcherd firm, with the exception of the second blank, which will list Mr. Betley. Any comments or questions about that or anything else in items 1 through 11 in the agenda? Okay, all in favor? Any noes or abstentions? Thank you. Employee relations, letter D. May I please get a motion for items 1 through 14 contained in that section of the agenda? Any comments or questions? All in favor? Oh, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Arcaro Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Fallis Macaluso.
Yes.
Dr. Myatt, Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Morano, Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Mrs. McCopolis, Mr. Villanueva.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Article 10 of our agenda includes suspensions, which are listed in Exhibit 24-346. May I get a motion for the HIB cases as discussed in executive session and listed in the agenda, please? May I get a second? Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Okay, thank you. Article 11 is informational only, which includes enrollment information. Article 12, is there any old business?
We did have the
I have that under new business. 13 is new business. And may I please get a motion for approval of the settlement agreement and general release with respect to the unilateral placement as discussed in executive session? Any comments or questions? All in favor? Any noes or abstentions? Okay. Thank you. All right, next is our second public comment section. This is for public comment on school-related matters, whether they're on or off the agenda. Same rules apply where we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. This isn't a question and answer session, but is an opportunity to provide public comment. And as before, if you would state your name and address when you approach the microphone, and can I get a motion to open, please?
So moved.
All in favor? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mrs. Puccini. I teach here at the middle school, and I would like to commend my colleagues at the middle school for seventh grade science teacher, Mrs. Pacey, coordinated with home and school STEM Career Day volunteer. Amanda, school. For these illegals to facilitate, I am so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. To facilitate a career day at WAMS, students heard from 31 presenters in STEM careers about their career choice and education path. WAMS Oasis Club, led by me and Mrs. Gonzalez, facilitated a school-wide collection for toiletries. The toiletries were assembled in baskets by students and donated to the Providence House, which is a local women's domestic violence shelter. WAMS band, orchestra, and choir gave spectacular evening performance this month, led by Mr. Smith and Mrs. Kearney and Miss Knight. The band and choir students, excuse me, highlighted their musical talents for their family and friends. Spring sports are wrapping up at WAMS. The 7th and 8th grades baseball, softball, girls lacrosse, and track teams all had successful season. Thank you. I'm sorry for the name.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Katie Petzold and I teach art at Baker. And I would like to commend my colleagues at Baker for the Moorestown Arbor Day organization celebration at Dawson Park on Arbor Day. Second grade classes performed songs that they learned in music class with their teacher, Mrs. Zaranin. And the second grade teachers, Scott Rowan, Sarah Bottinelli, Emily Olson, and Hannah Baxman, accompanied their students to Dawson Park for the event. Students in Mrs. Yaris' special ed class enjoyed creating special bulletin boards to show off their skills. They have been busy improving their phonological awareness by exploring a variety of books and activities, and they enjoyed creating and displaying their rhyme time crafts. Last month, they enjoyed brainstorming hashtag neurodivergent terms to display with art.
Hi, my name is Angela Reed. I'm first grade teacher at Baker School. May was a very busy month for our first graders. The students performed songs for their families during their first grade spring concert, which was on May 3rd. After practicing for many weeks with their talented music teacher, Mrs. Zaranin, the children put on a wonderful concert. The first grade students also visited the Philadelphia Zoo on May 9th. It was a fun and educational day for the students. They loved having the opportunity to see so many animals up close after learning about many different animals and habitats in school for the year. Sherry Burns, Amanda Moreno, myself, and Kate Snyder accompanied the students on the field trip.
Hi, my name's Susan Powell. I'm a third grade teacher at Roberts. I'd like to commend Laura Deschamps, our music teacher. I'm going to go off script for this one. Laura's amazing. She puts a third grade show on every year. She showcases all the students, whether you're good at singing or telling a joke or rapping, she'll find a spot for you. So it's like an amazing show. Like people cry, I mean, it's just amazing. She's known them from kindergarten all the way through. And it's just wonderful. So if you haven't been, come. It's June 12th at 2:15. This is like a labor of love for her. Like she starts creating this idea and it just becomes amazing. So please come. It's awesome.
Thank you.
My name is Ashley. I work at the high school. We would like to recognize our art program teachers at the high school. So the weekend of May 18th and 19th, some of our Moorestown Honor Ceramic students competed in the annual Clay and Mind competition. Clay and Mind is a juried ceramics competition where teachers submit pieces from around the state to be judged. The winning 20 pieces were selected to be on display at the Noyes Art Garage of Stockton University.
in Atlantic City. This year, 4 of our student pieces were picked to be on display now through June 15th. So if you're down there and see them, and if you see our students, please join me in congratulating them on their hard work and submissions in this jury competition.
Hi, I'm Kelly Renschler. I'm a special education teacher at Roberts, and I'd like to commend my colleagues at the UES. Home and School hosted a wonderful luncheon for UES staff members during Teacher Appreciation Week. The staff enjoyed Mexican food and delicious desserts. 5th grade enjoyed a field trip at Washington's Crossing, while 6th grade enjoyed a field trip roller skating in Cherry Hill. The UES orchestra and band students also displayed their talents during concerts this month. Finally, 4th grade is getting prepared for their Battle of the Books, which will take place in June. Thank you to Jonathan Nikes, orchestra teacher, and Joe Schnorbrush, chorus teacher, Regina Schmidt, band teacher, and Carol Herb, media specialist, for their hard work and dedication.
Hello, my name is Jamie Roberts. I work at South Valley, and I would like to commend my colleagues at South Valley for the musical month that we've had. Young musicians and families under the direction of our music teacher, Miss Luther. Our kindergartners brought a grown-up to participate in a special music class together. Our performed a celebration of spring for their families on May 9th, and our 2nd graders have their concerts this week. Our 3rd grade chorus is rehearsing now for their culminating June 7th concert.
Good evening, everyone. I am Nicole Dancy of Morristown Homeschool. Our most recent and upcoming news and events. Last month, we held staff appreciation events and luncheons during Teacher Appreciation Week at all the schools in our district. Thank you to all who donated to make those happen. At the lower elementary schools, Home and School assisted with kindergarten screening. At South Valley, Home and School held another successful and fun beach banquet bingo despite the rain. Upcoming. At the high school, Home and School will be hosting the senior picnic on June 17th. At Wams, Home and School will be hosting the 8th grade backyard bash on the evening of June 17th with food, carnival, and background games outside. At UES, Home and School will be assisting both 4th and 5th grade field days at the beginning of this month. 6th grade celebration is in the works and will be the last week of school. This will be provided by Home and School at UES during the school day. There will be no charge this year, thanks to all the generous donations received throughout the year. The new outdoor tables and benches at UES that Home and School funded have arrived and are being assembled for installation. At the lower schools, Home and School has been assisting with field day at each of the lower schools, providing volunteers. On today, May 28th, Home and School is hosting a Roberts Family Fun Night at Hot Wheels Roller Skating in Cherry Hill. The entry was free. And the last text message I received since I've been here, there's approximately 300 people that are in attendance at this event. So we thank all the families for supporting. Home School will continue to support the Roberts Summer Garden this year. Volunteers are always welcome. Coming this summer, look for big, exciting changes at Baker next year, where Home and School will be funding the MTPS Baker Cafeteria refresh with new wall murals, sound system, and TV screens. All of this is provided with the donations through fundraisers like Boosterthon. Know any incoming kindergartner? Make sure their family signs up for Home and School after July 1st to get involved. Kindergarten meetups will also be happening in August. Don't forget to join Home and School after July 1st for 2024-20 school year to receive our weekly newsletters, get reminders and early access to our events, and more. You may also subscribe at any time for just the weekly newsletters. Thank you for your continued contributions and support.
Thank you.
Lisa Trapani. I just want to first off thank Joe for your comments about the referendum. And when you do, if you schedule meetings, and if they're informal or formal, if I get the schedule from Maria, you know, we'd like to have teachers attend and also ask any, be able to answer any questions that people might have about the transition. And that goes for anything. So we appreciate your passion and your enthusiasm as you talk about it. And I have heard good feedback about Mr. Weeks attending the meetings, the Homeland School meetings. So I did hear feedback that you were responding to a lot of questions and people felt good. So whatever that was, I just wanted to pass that on. So when you respond to these questions, I didn't get the name of the search firm. So Mark, if you can just either spell his last name or let me know.
Copeland's his last name, Copeland.
So Copeland,
That's his that's the individual's name.
and the firm is,
McPherson Jacobson.
okay. And as a comment, one of the spouses of a graduate also admired the memorial board at the high school when they were here for the reunion tour. And he was from Arizona, and he said he had never seen anything like it in his life. They're all listed from World War II up until the most recent conflict. And if you notice, there's a plaque that Mr. Bishop, who retired a couple years ago, made sure got posted for the World War I veterans are also there. So the students benefited from that because they often walk by it and do not know what it is. So when they have to stand there, they learn about it. So he did a great job with cataloging all of that. And then my last is the agenda item switch. My understanding of having it where it was is that then we could comment on the building reports. I mean, not the building reports, the committee board reports. So I didn't know if that had any reason of why it was moved or not, because we wouldn't know what was going to come on those committee reports. So therefore we couldn't, comment on them. So that's just something I wanted to mention.
You, can I get a motion, or anyone else for public comment? Can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor? On the agenda shift, there's any number of changes that we tweak with the agenda. I didn't know this one was going to be one of note. For clarity, the first public comment section is on things that we vote on, period. That's it, right? And the agenda is public and everybody can see where the items that we're voting on. And so moving that to the top of the agenda was, in my view, appropriate, but certainly worth reconsidering, although I don't see how it materially makes any difference as long as it's before we vote. And so we've always been pretty flexible in terms of whether things stray outside of the items that we vote on or not. But in any event, thank you for the comments and I appreciate them. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Thanks.